Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Concerned Citizen. My name is Matthew, and yes, I am concerned. So I hope you're all doing well and you're all safe. I just had lunch, my lunch break at work. And we're getting closer to the election, and as usual, some crazy things coming out in the news, but to tell you the truth, it's been really an unprecedented, crazy election time, unlike any other. And what's really crazy to me is that for me, it feels like a very clear choice. And I'm not trying to impose my views on anybody else, but for me, when I hear on the Republican side, or let's say people who support Trump, who are just so dumbfounded, how can anyone can support Harris? Well, that's how I feel in regards to those who support Trump. Now, that's not to say anything bad about those individuals, because I think that there's lots of things that Trump, they feel, can do for them. I'm hopeful in my heart that it's not coming from a position of trying to make other people suffer, such as LGBTQ people. I'm gay, and I know that lots of the policies that are associated with Project 2025 and surround Republicans are anti-gay and trans and just the whole umbrella. So, recently in the news, if you want, information that just shows how corrupt Republican side is, and, it's always like my grandma said, and there's a saying that, you could really tell a person's character by who they associate themselves with, and then also you listen and see what they do, and it tells you who they are. So, recently influencers on X and YouTube we found out that a lot of them have been paid by Russia. And that should be not anything shocking, because when you give up your morality and your humanity and have these really radical views that put other people into a position where they're fighting for their livelihood and rights to live, it's either coming from a place of just bigotry and hatred, or it's coming from a place of power, money, and influence. And not surprising, hey, Russia's paying these people, and some of them were getting $100,000 a week to put this narrative out there, which is pro-right, pro-Trump, right? But also anti-Ukraine. So basically saying, hey, Ukraine has done terrible things to Russia, and so has the United States. And that's the narrative that they're pushing out there, lying to their audience, all knowing that this information that they're getting is being fed to them, and that they are being paid to say this. So it's one thing to maybe agree, but even if I agreed with the things, if someone started saying, Matthew, I'm going to pay you to start saying these things, I'll be like, that doesn't seem too right. I'm going to start to question what I'm putting out there. So, all this crazy crap that goes out there. And recently you had like J.D. Vance, when they asked him, and you just look at the right, side, the right political side, especially the extreme right and MAGA side, and you get to see that there's money, power, and influence. Because when they asked J.D. Vance, hey, what's your plan to lower childcare cost? And he was like, well, people should really go towards the grandparents, or maybe an uncle or aunt need to watch the kids. What kind of answer is that? Basically, we don't have a plan. We're not going to address it. People really need to do things for themselves. And nobody is saying that people shouldn't, work hard and, try to earn things. What we're talking about is creating a fair playing field for everybody, that they have a leg up for, doing something and achieving the same things as other people. So despite your financial limitations, despite, you having a family and you having other obligations, it shouldn't limit your ability to be able to, let's say, accomplish things that other people should or can. I get so confused and this is recently, I have had a conversation with individuals and they go, I don't know who to vote for. And I'm like, okay, I don't understand, because I think they've clearly set up who they are. And, you have other people who say, I've decided I'm not going to vote. And you were never going to vote to begin with. And that's fine. I'm not forcing anybody to vote. But when you look at somebody's history who says that, it's usually because, they're saying this and they've never voted in the past. But at the same time, they will complain about all these policies and things happening. And you're like, so you do care about these things politically. You do. But you're not going to vote. And I understand feeling powerless. You're like, I'm just one vote in regards to this huge onslaught of things that are against me. Like, what power and influence do I really have? I guess I'm just so frustrated. And when I see other people being picked on and other people being targeted, and wrongfully so, it makes me want to speak up even more. More so than myself actually being targeted or treated unfairly. So that is, something that I'm definitely motivated to vote. So in this election, when I was talking to that person, I was like, I feel more motivated than ever than before to vote. I could understand before when people were, Obama versus McCain. After seeing McCain do his concession, speech, I was like, oh, I can see why you voted for him. And if you agree with his policies. I didn't. I voted for Obama. But there was a respect there that I had. With Trump, I don't have that kind of respect. I really don't understand. And, there's lots of excuses that people give when they're talking about being undecided or voting for Trump. And they give him a lot of leeway. It's like, he just says things, or, he did really good with the economy. But yet when they go to the Democratic side, and I see lots of people say this after Kamala and the convention, and we'll see about the debate, right? They'll say, they weren't specific enough on policy. Has Trump ever been specific enough in policy? Well, let's look at J.D. Vance, right? Childcare. What's your answer to lowering cost? I guess Grandma and Grandpa are going to have to do something about this. Going to have to help out. You don't have a plan. I saw them ask like a panel, and they said Kamala wasn't specific enough. My question to them would have been like, oh, can you tell me what policies specifically that Trump has that you really like? I'm not sure if they will be able to come up with anything. So, another criticism, I think, that when I talk to people and just observing like interactions and how they view things, I think that a lot of people steer away from Kamala because she's a woman. And it's other women who do that. And it's, she's, someone says, hey, she's not qualified. She was vice president. Don't you think that kind of leads to the closest thing you can get to being president? And their argument would be like, well, Trump was president. Okay, but did you agree what he did? I mean, if you did, that's great. But I didn't vote for him, and lots of things he did I don't like. So I feel very confident in not voting for him because I already saw that, yeah, I was right about him. And then they criticized, like, hey, she's too liberal. Where lots of her positions are, hey, I am by the book for the law. I believe that people should be held accountable. And even on the Democratic National Convention, I heard lots of people saying that, hey, you work for it. You work hard. And I saw people on Facebook, and I got in an argument with somebody. They were like, everyone keeps on thinking that you don't have to work for things. I was like, I never heard anyone really say that. Even at the Democratic National Convention, I heard lots of people saying how they had to work hard for things. Supreme Court took away affirmative action, and there's this mindset of like, hey, people are getting opportunities where they shouldn't be, where it's not the most qualified individuals. And I would love for the most qualified person to get selected, but unfortunately, bias, a lot of people go towards what they see in themselves to choose other people. for getting into these colleges or a promotion or a job. And it showed recent studies that once you took away this, that Hispanics and blacks in college getting enrolled has dropped. I mean, they're still applying. So, how are you supposed to create equality here? Because statistically, blacks and Hispanics are more in the poverty area, and I'm Hispanic, so I'm speaking, and I know that truth of, struggling and everything and seeing other opportunities come about. So what are we doing here? You're going to say, hey, we took the most qualified person. But how do we change that this community and these groups are being excluded from opportunity? So, and other people say, hey, she's not moderate enough. I just don't understand, considering if you want to see like Trump, he's extreme. I don't see that he's moderate on anything. So I'm like, that's why you're voting for him and not her. Interesting. A lot of people go, hey, the economy was better under Trump. I think there's like a disillusion here, because believe me, I am not under the mindset that Kamala's elected, I'm going to be living in wealth, I'm going to be having a mansion. No, I know that takes work. But when I look back at Trump, I was like, I'm still struggling like I was before. I don't know where this kind of thing is coming from. And lots of the people that I talk to who, in my circle, support Trump and talk about the struggle, they go on vacations a lot. I mean, vacations that are like, not like, hey, let me go to the lake, a cabin, and they own an extra boat. They own a house. I don't have a boat. I only have one house. I don't even have a house. Not even one. And you have two, and you're saying how much you're struggling. I'm like, okay, to each their own. You probably do have struggles, and I'm not discrediting that you do. But you're living pretty well comparatively to lots of the other people. So, count your blessings. I'm not saying not to complain. We always could do better. I'm not saying that Kamala and her policies, are perfect, but definitely Trump's are not. So, so I just don't understand. It's like, people say, I can't decide. It's such a hard choice. I was like, well, okay, do you want Social Security to be cut? No. Well, Trump wants that. So, I mean, in Project 2025, it talks about that. Do you want Medicare to be cut? No. Or, I don't really care because I'm not on Medicare. But somebody who is. Why would you want that? Do you want higher prescription cost after we just negotiated for lower cost? And you're like, what does that really do? Well, it was just proven that if you lower the cost coming out of Medicare and how much they pay for prescriptions, then that reduces how much the government spends in this healthcare costs, which you're complaining about the government spending, but you don't want them to save, you don't want them to fix that. You don't care. How about minimum wage? Do you want the minimum wage to increase? And you're like, wait, but that's hurting businesses. Okay. Billionaires complaining. People who have money complaining that I'm hurting. Do you still have billions? Yes, you do. Then what are you complaining about? I mean, if you still can maintain your billions, are you really struggling? If somebody's losing their home and struggling to even figure out how they're going to pay for their bills, yeah, that's a problem. But you saying like, I have less billions, but you still have billions, and you're still, even with any changes they make, will still have billions. Yes. What's the problem? One of the issues with Social Security is that, they say it's going to run out of funds, and it has an income limit, like as far as much, they can tax. When you have that, you need to increase the limit, and a lot of people are going to be like, oh my gosh, the Democrats want to increase the limit. Well, look at it. The wealth that the middle class has and the amount of money has decreased. Most of that money has transferred to the very wealthy. That money is no longer going into Social Security to support the people who pay into it. And it's just natural that you need to change the cap, because there's many people who are becoming very prosperous and living a life full of no checks and balances because they're so rich and so powerful that they get to escape with everything and don't get to contribute towards this. I don't mind paying more taxes if I know that it's going to help people. I really don't. I mean, yes, I still want to live, but I want to see that's going to do some good. And I do know that some of our taxes are not used all the time responsibly. Are you okay with price gouging? Because Kroger and I believe it's Albertson want to merge two largest grocery chains and admitted to increasing the prices of eggs and milk over inflation just to increase profit. And these are the things that Kamala would like to target. So there's other businesses that have been come under fire recently in regards to realty and rent, and how they've all kind of collaborated, and can set prices amongst the competition to price other people out, when really it should be a competitive market, not one where all the competitors are screwing the consumers, in unison and cooperatively. So I think it's good that, yes, they're going after them. We're so brainwashed to think that a business, getting less of the pie, but still keeping a lot, is really bad. But a person who is struggling every day, getting a leg up, or a fellow citizen who's struggling, we get really outraged with that. It's really crazy. And are you okay with homes being in the hands of businesses? There's many businesses that have purchased so many homes, they have priced out consumers, and the Democratic plan is to try to tackle one aspect of this, which you have to tackle from multiple fronts, but I'm hoping that they do, trying to create more inventory. But you also have to target these businesses as well who are doing this, because otherwise you're not really resolving the problem. And, as far as, do you want goods to cost more? Because Trump wants to put increased tariffs on imports, and that's just going to make what consumers pay more. And then, of course, there's abortion rights and anti-LGBT, things that Trump is putting out there. And then workers' rights, they're really going after it as far as overtime pay and unions. I mean, those are all very clear things. And I was like, but you're still undecided. You're still having a hard time. I'm not saying the Democrats and Kamala are perfect, right? By any means. But I do appreciate that their new kind of campaign is that they're not attacking the constituents, let's say, who vote for Republicans. They're going after those political leaders who have put out this false message and really lied to their voters about what they're really going to do. And, hey, me getting a lot, I'm being targeted, I'm going to benefit. And me benefiting is you benefiting. How? Because I'm happy and I'm making more money. You're like, yay. And then you go home and you're still struggling to pay bills. You're like, what do you do for me? I don't know. I don't think you did anything. I mean, one of the things, I'll say this, that Harris is trying to do, and I'm reluctant, right, is she said that she's open to putting Republicans on her cabinet. Why am I reluctant? I know lots of people said, this is a sign of, unity, and lots of Republicans are coming over to vote. I get it. But there's lots of Republicans that are just now recently coming over because they're smelling blood in the water with Trump. He's weakened. I don't think those are the people that you want. I get really concerned about the morality of individuals. Yeah, we'll probably go towards people who maybe came towards us in the beginning, towards the Democratic side, but also align in ways that would not hurt lots of the policies that Democrats want to put out there. Liz Cheney had put out, lots of things anti-Trump and going against him, but when you look at her voting record, she had lots of things that she sided and voted towards with Trump. So I appreciate everything she's doing there, but she's somebody I would not put in the cabinet. I was like, your voting record shows that you would not support or align where we want to go. And that's helping the American people. You know, I do want a healthy Republican Party. I do want, you know, for us to have that. Will I ever vote for Republican? Probably not. You know, I was like, this much corruption that has been allowed and they sat back on. I don't think I could really go there. But let's say we had a Freaky Friday kind of thing and the Republicans and Democrats switch places, then yeah, I will vote Republican if there was a Donald Trump equivalent on the Democratic side. So let me know what you think. I don't have, you know, it's okay if you don't want to subscribe, don't want to like. I appreciate it. I'm just doing these videos for myself, my own sanity. I have been having really a tough time. You know, my partner had a stroke. I'm caretaker, you know, balancing that. See all these Trump signs when I'm driving, and I was like, I need to feel like I need to talk and express my point of views because I just feel like it's closing in on me, and maybe you feel the same. So take care, and thank you for watching. Leave a comment if you want. Like, subscribe. Thank you. Bye. Where do you hit this thing? There you go.